All right, guys, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Chuck and I were just chatting prior to the video going live, and it's seeming like it's, would you describe it as fun slate, annoying slate?
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it, right? I like so. We were kind of mentioning, we'll start with the Spurs, I guess, in general. It was looking like we could potentially have some sneaky value in that game. Now it's seeming like we're just going to have to eat the most likely chalk play, Sandro. And if you guys were watching this, and I don't want to butcher his last name, but if you were watching this video, I think it was last live stream, I was kind of mentioning him as a sneaky GPP play at the minimum price. Ended up putting up, I think, 20 DK points that night as the third option, while Charles Bassey is out, Zach Collins is out. Is there any route in which we aren't eating the chalk on Sandro? Oh no, it froze. Is this on me or is this on Chuck? Oh no. Let's see here. I think that was on me and not Chuck there. Let me switch to the full screen here. Did anyone else see Chuck's eyes on that though when I was mentioning Sandro? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But for whoever's watching, if you can let me know if you guys can still hear and if mine's not freezing or not, that'd be great. But yeah, looking at it, does seem like we kind of need to eat the chalk on Sandro, to me at least. We pull up his kind of game log, min priced on DraftKings almost. We can see in 21 minutes and 17 minutes, he's been able to get there. And so to me, that's just crazy. That to me is something that we kind of just need to eat chalk-wise. And so that's probably something I think we'll be doing tonight. So yeah, looking at it, 1 for 6 and 2 for 5. He didn't even do well there and still was able to produce 15, 20, and 20 DK points. So if he gets 30, that is just something that I think we're going to need to eat the chalk on. So let me just see here. I know I had an issue with my internet right before lock here, so I'm going to message Chuck as well to see if it's me or him. And guys, let me know as well in the comments if the video is coming across fine. It seems like it, but I can't really tell. But yeah, looking at the rest of the Spurs. So looking at like Keldon Johnson, we're probably just playing as well. He's going to be pretty chalky. If he's going to get 32 minutes in that game, I think that's going to be appealing. Looking at the game, it's not a game that's projected to be a blowout as well, like had been our concerns with the Spurs. So that is something that I think we're worried about. Okay. All right, so let's see here. I think Chuck is back. Let's see here. And we are good.
Are we good? Right.
Yeah, I think so. Nope.
My internet's been giving me problems. I'm not even on Wi-Fi. It's a wired connection. So
Sandro broke the slate. Is really what that's what it is.
The thought of playing him today, but we have to. He's pretty good. So
do you think his ownership is going to get higher or lower than 62% that is at right now?
I probably stays around there. It probably gets lower just because we'll probably have another option, I think, at value. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, if someone else gets ruled out. Right now, he's just the easiest play on the slate. It's a guy we can project for minutes, and it's definitely way too high, though, that 60%.
Yeah. I don't know. Min price, he's going to hit value regardless.
He's likely to hit value. I don't know. It's tough. I do want to mention Gorgu Deng is another option, the contrarian option, I guess, as the pivot if you don't want to play Sandro. But whoever's starting is going to be the priority. They both take up center on DraftKings, which is not great. At least on FanDuel, Sandro has power forward eligibility.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't mind Gorgie. That's not terrible. Are we just locking in someone like Keldon Johnson, though, who's going to be active, or KBD at all? I shouldn't say lock, but just at his price point, Keldon Johnson going to be in a high usage role in the game that's projected to stay close, projected to get 32 minutes. I guess what are we doing with him?
I'm interested in Keldon Johnson, but not. I don't think he's a superstar play tonight or anything. But like if he's my last guy in, he was the last guy in on the lineup I was building earlier, and I was very happy. Like I was perfectly happy with that. Ownership seems fine. As for the other guys, Keita Bates Diop is probably my favorite option. Just the price.
Okay.
the price is fine. He's going to get the playing time. If Trey Jones is out, then Devontae Graham is still up there, and then Blake Wesley we saw get more minutes yesterday. I mean, we really just need to see the starting lineup.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the projected starting lineup at the moment. It's looking like Trey Jones will start, Branham will start, but game time decision, Keldon Johnson, KBD, and then Sandro. So, yeah. My question is, did Wesley get minutes because it was the front end of a back-to-back? And is it going to go down to like 18, 15 tonight?
It depends if one of the other guys comes back. If Trey Jones is back in the rotation, then so last time Trey Jones was in, they actually just took Devontae Graham out of the rotation. The other guys' minutes weren't affected that much. It was
Yeah.
Devontae Graham that lost his playing time. So,
Okay.
I mean, Blake Wesley was the second guy off the bench after Sandro yesterday. Checked in halfway through the first quarter, like 23 minutes. I mean,
Yeah. It makes sense for them to spread the minutes around it really. So,
yeah, there's no one on this team that's going to play 30 minutes tonight. Maybe Keldon Johnson, but other than that, I don't think so.
let's flip it around in that game. I think we are just going to be loading up on Sandro. I'm just going to put him in the lineup for now. And then we flip it over to the Dallas side. Kyrie Irving is currently questionable, and we have seen Jaden Hardy and Josh Green really go off. And this is honestly what I love about late season NBA DFS is that you can really just load up on guys like these and feel pretty good about it. What are your kind of thoughts on the Dallas Mavericks players? Are we loading up on a chalky Hardy, or are we going with Josh Green, maybe Reggie Bullock? What are we looking at in this game? Because it is a good matchup.
So my top two priorities are Jaden Hardy and Josh Green. On both sites on FanDuel, I think I prefer Josh Green a little bit of a price discount, and Jaden Hardy's ownership is just way higher over on FanDuel.
Yeah.
As far as Tim Hardaway, I'm kind of hoping he just sits so I don't have to make a decision on him, but I'm probably going to try to play less of him tonight if he is in and his ownership stays that high on FanDuel, 47%. And then the other guys, Maxi Kleba, Dwight Powell, McKinley Wright was pulling ownership earlier, and I don't get that because we're kind of expecting him to have the best game of his career. And he's going to have probably the most opportunity he's ever had in the NBA tonight, McKinley Wright. But it's just, if 20% of the field is hoping he has the best game of his career, it's, just play Jaden Hardy instead, I think. Yeah, I mean, something like, even if Wright puts up 20 on FanDuel, he's pretty cheap, but you really don't want a 20 from someone in your line unless you need everyone else in the lineup to really have a really big game. But we don't have that much value, so I do kind of get it. But I really hate taking up that point guard position with a cheap point guard. Yeah, that's too low for sure. But even if we double his minutes to 20, he's going to look much better in terms of value. But I don't know. We'll need to see some news later. Maybe if Jason Kidd has a comment or something.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So how would you prioritize it, the Mavericks then, just to close that up?
I think I'm prioritizing Josh Green over Jaden Hardy, but a lot of that is due to the ownership difference.
Okay.
It's those two like far and away above the rest. If Tim Hardaway plays, he's going to be in that group, but he's going to be my third from that group.
Okay.
And then Reggie Bullock is a Reggie Bullock.
Yeah, it's the best way to sum it up right there for sure. I think we should move on into the Lakers here. We got AD and LeBron out. Obviously, Mo Bamba's out as well. Are you finally able to go in on your boy, Jared Vanderbilt?
I mean, we can on FanDuel, 5,500. It's a good price. I'm not excited about getting there, though. I just don't have confidence he's going to play 30-plus minutes tonight. Jared Vanderbilt at 5,900 DraftKings, 5,500 FanDuel, even at the 27 minutes we haven't projected for. Like, that's an okay price, but I don't think it warrants 38% ownership on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's true. So would you just be going with someone like Hachimura, who's not too chalky on either site and lower priced, projected at the same minutes, or no?
I'm not even sure. Like, I've been trying to look at this roster because there's so much usage, gone with AD sitting out, but like D'Angelo is probably the player I'm most interested in. I like Vanderbilt's tough because he doesn't really score on his own and his minutes are kind of volatile a little bit. Schroeder, if he starts, I'll have some interest in. Austin Reeves, I'm fine with as a contrarian play.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned Rui. I was hoping Rui was going to come in with lower ownership, but I think his price is pretty reasonable. He's been playing really well. If he gets, he played 20 minutes yesterday. If he gets up to 27, then he's going to look pretty good at that price.
Yeah. Would we be looking at Gabriel then at all if he's going to get some run? Obviously, if he gets 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, it wouldn't be shocking to see him put up 25 fantasy points. Is that just like too loose of a thought there, trying to get lucky a little bit too much?
No, I like it. I meant to mention Gabriel. I tried to see what the rotation looked like before Mo Bamba was here when AD set out, but it was really hard because the players are kind of different.
Yes, very different.
But remember, Mo Bamba's out tonight, so I think Wenyen Gabriel pretty much has to play at least 20 minutes, and even if you give him the 20 minutes, he's going to be an okay play at those prices and ownership, and if he gets more, he's probably one of the better plays. It's just we don't know who this Ham guy is going to play tonight.
I mean, Russell, like you mentioned, I think is kind of just the standout play. I would almost to me, the two core plays to start out the day would be Sandro and then D'Angelo Russell. Just in this match against Houston, it's chalky, but we kind of need to eat the chalk, I feel like.
I'm pretty interested in the Houston side too, so I love getting to D'Angelo's my favorite Laker today, so I really like getting to him.
Yeah, so let's look at Houston. So Sengun currently questionable. We haven't projected to get 28.6 minutes. If he sits, are we just looking at Jabari Smith or maybe just going with Jalen Green, Kevin Porter? What are we looking at there?
I want to play. I was about to say I want to play all the Jabari Smith. I'm very interested in Jabari Smith if Sengun is out. I think his price is still good on both sides. FanDuel 7,400. It's a little higher than we're used to, but he's been destroying that. And KJ Martin is the other guy on the Rockets I'm pretty interested in. We're star for value, 5,200 DraftKings, 5,600 FanDuel, about 10 and 12% ownership. I think that's great.
I like that call. Actually, I didn't. 32 minutes projected get. I like that if Sengun's out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like KJ Martin, his minutes are there. It's pretty consistent. So I feel pretty good about getting to him today. Tari Eason, I was kind of on last time when he was starting. No one else really was. He didn't really do anything. So at these low ownerships, I'll take some shots, but I don't think he's a standout play today.
He finally has been getting minutes, and now it's like the point per minute production hasn't been matching up. And I don't know if that's just because Kevin Porter and Jalen Green are back. I'm assuming that's why. But it is kind of sad in that sense. We were waiting for that.
I'd like to see the difference in fantasy points per minute when he's playing along the starters, when he's coming off the bench versus that garbage time where he always seems to get there, because I guarantee that garbage time minutes are worth 2 fantasy points a minute for this guy.
One of my favorite NBA highlights this year was Eason getting 3 rebounds off of 3 missed shots and then making the shot on the 4th one.
I think there was one play where he maybe had 19 fantasy points in about 35 seconds, like a steal, a rebound, 4 more rebounds on offense, a putback, another putback. So he can get there. It's just if he's starting, his usage is down. But at this ownership, we definitely want to have him in our pool.
It's a good matchup, and it's a game that's supposed to stay close as well. So, yeah, I like that idea.
I want to mention KPJ and Jalen Green, too. They're there. They're playing the Lakers. I don't think their ownerships are bad. I think they're both good plays, too.
I mean, Kevin Porter Jr., he finally kind of had that. I shouldn't say finally. He's had 2 really good games, but are we going to see more consistency out of KPJ now that we can project him to get minutes for sure in games that aren't blowouts?
Yeah, that's the main thing. It seems like, I don't want to say the injury's all the way behind him, but it's not really affecting his minutes anymore. And his price, as long as 7,200 on DraftKings, I think is a pretty good price for Kevin Porter.
Mm-hmm. What was his ownership again? 13. I'm going to put him in for now. That seems too low. And then Jalen Green as well, 71 for a guy that could. I think we're locking in, let's say 30 points. And I know we need more than that in GPPs. What is his upside? Is it 50? Is it 44 like he had last game? Obviously better matchup. What are we looking at with Jalen Green if we play him?
Upside, he could easily put up 50, but he has to score probably 40 real life points to do that. So like you said, I think 30 is pretty, if Jalen Green scores less than 30, that's a really bad night. Because if he scores 30, that's still not a 5x. But I kind of like what you were saying. Jalen Green, he's going to put up 20 shots tonight. So
yeah, it's a 29 the last game. And 29, 14, 23, 21. It's been crazy.
Took 29 shots.
Apparently. Yeah.
28 points.
Yeah. And then are there any other really injury situations that we need to touch on in depth? Obviously Jared Allen's still out. I don't think we really like that game too much. We still have Morant out and Steven Adams out. Do you want to touch on any of those, or should we get into the guard preview?
I feel like there was one more, but I think we're okay. Those are we touched on the big ones.
Okay.
Donovan Mitchell was the one I was going to say, but it looks like they said he's playing today, so no. Well, Karras is still playable, but
Yeah.
not like yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go on and get into the guards, and we can touch on any of those plays if they come up as well during this. So looking at the guards, let's sort it by point guard and shooting guard. Looking at the best value out there on DraftKings right now, Alex Caruso is popping up there. I mean, 3.4 makes sense. He's kind of chalky right now, though. Could be value chalk we avoid. Mikhail Beasley, butchered that. Jalen Hardy, Terrence Mann, Derek White, Marcus Smart. Those are some of the better values. Are you looking at any of those guys to like key in on other than Jaden Hardy?
Not really. So with Malik Beasley, he's pulling ownership because he had a good game yesterday. If he didn't have a good game yesterday, he would be under 10%. Even with AD out, like people weren't playing him that much after he burned everyone when he was the chalk. So I think Malik Beasley's a fine play, but his ownership is definitely too high, and it's only there because he had a great game yesterday. Caruso, like I get the model, likes Caruso as a value, but it's just so tough because now there's Patrick Beverley there too, and so Caruso's not really getting it. He hasn't played 30 minutes in over a month.
Yeah.
Like January 15th was the last time he played 30 minutes. And so he's getting like 28, 26, but I don't know. If he was a 2% play, I would be more excited to play Caruso, but at even 10 and 12, it's a little bit much. He's still fine against Sacramento. And Jaden Hardy, he's just such an easy play. He played 40 minutes last game. And then as for Derek White, Marcus Smart, and Brogdon, I think one of those guys is going to be a good play. I couldn't tell you which one. It's kind of like the ownerships seem correct based on who they are. So I'm not quite sure, but I think that if you mix those guys in, that seems fine too.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then looking at like FanDuel value, it's going to be more of the same. Patrick Beverley's popping up there though instead. We got Dante DiVincenzo, who it is kind of interesting. He's been getting a little bit more run instead of Jordan Poole. Are you reading into that at all? Like, is he a good value at 2% and 5% at all?
So I read into it. Was it 3 games ago when they played against Memphis? And I'm like, well, he's still playing the 33, 37 minutes with Steph back. And then that's the game he kind of got benched and had a terrible game. But like the thought line is there. I think the minutes are there. He's played 30 minutes in almost every single game in the last month. So I think he's fine. Dante DiVincenzo, especially at this ownership. If it was higher ownership, I'd be a little more wary. But at low ownership, Dante DiVincenzo, it seems fine.
I mean, he did just have GPP winning upside against Milwaukee. Now, you could say kind of revenge game a little bit, but yeah, probably worth a look at low owner 2%. You know, it's pretty low. You can play him at forward or guard.
Yeah, I forgot about that Milwaukee revenge narrative actually when he had that big game.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like it doesn't always pan out in NBA, right? But I feel like forward narratives, especially revenge narratives, it pans out a lot more in NBA than any other sport. And when it does, they like really go off where it's like eye-poppingly big night.
You see Cam Reddish's revenge game last night?
Was it terrible? Right?
I think he had 2 points and a rebound.
Yeah, like 1 for 7, I think, to start the game or something weird like that.
Yeah.
That's Cam Reddish, though. This is Dante DiVincenzo. Come on.
It's a big difference.
March Madness GOAT there.
Oh, I love it.
Had to make the March Madness plug there. But what about Tyus Jones at all?
I have interest in Tyus Jones at low ownership. Absolutely. I think he's a great low owned play. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at who are the best plays. We got Curry, Harden, Paul George, Ant-Man, Fox, Brown, Garland. Garland's actually popping up compared to other players around his price tag. How are you prioritizing those? I know we already like Kevin Porter as a play and D'Angelo Russell. How are you prioritizing those other plays?
So I've been prioritizing Steph recently. I think his ownership is too low every night. His price is still reasonable. He hasn't had that blow up game, and I want to catch him when he does. 3% ownership on DraftKings today, like 10-5 for Steph. It's not a great matchup against Clippers, but even the 9% on FanDuel, like I'm going to be above that. So he is the top priority for me today. I'm interested in Paul George too, and then Anthony Edwards was the other guy like in the top 5 that I like the most.
Okay. Do you see this as a slate in which we need to pay up for one of those guards, or is it one in which we can go fair and balance more with the guards? Obviously, we have Russell, we have Porter, even Garland's pretty cheap, Jalen Green. Are we seeing it more of a kind of paid down-ish at guard and pay up elsewhere, or can we get unique by paying up for Curry or one of those other guys?
So it just the value. So the value guards we just looked at, like none of them really stand out except for Hardy as like a
Hmm.
guy that we really want to play today.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like looking at the overall ownership on the slate. Um, just see, like it's a lot. It's pretty mixed up. Yeah, it kind of looks like people are going to pay down at guard a little bit, and
Yeah.
so if they're going to pay down at guard and pay up at the big man, I mean Sandro is the highest owned guy on the slate, but other
Yep.
than Sandro, I mean I feel like we really want 50 points out of a point guard today, at least one if we're playing FanDuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see the FanDuel ownership real quick. It's pretty high too for Hardy. Tim Hardaway's really chalky on FanDuel.
hmm
Russell, Paul George.
Like that was one thing with Josh Green versus Jaden Hardy. His ownership was like half of what
Hmm.
Hardy's was. I'm not seeing it here now, but
Oh, if Kyrie is ruled out, I am going to just load up on Josh Green.
mhm.
Regard, like I think it should be very tight, their ownership difference. So
Mhm.
if it's not, I'll probably be overweight on Green compared to Hardy.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on into forward here. We got power forward and also small forward. I don't think we have any questions, but if any come in, make sure to get those in. David says he loves the show. We love that you're here watching the show. Appreciate it. But yeah, why don't you get started with the small forwards here, or the forwards?
All right, let me pull this up.
Yeah, sorry. We have some chalk there. I mean, obviously Tim Hardaway Jr., pretty chalky guard forward eligible. We didn't really mention him too much. At 47% on FanDuel, is he even worth a look?
I think he's worth a look just because he's going to be in half of the field's lineups, but this is like the perfect example of the chalk that I want to get away from. I mean, he's going to play the minutes. He got a little hurt last game. He lost a couple minutes, and he just had a terrible game.
Hmm.
But I don't know. It's tough for me to want to get to a 50% on Tim Hardaway. Just he's not a great ball handler. He's not going to distribute. Like he's not going to rack up assists. He really has to score real life points,
Hmm.
and he's going to be on the court for a lot. 35 plus minutes, but. So I think we do have to play him, but I'm going to have less in the field.
Okay. It's kind of, I know it actually didn't work out 2 slates ago. It was that slate in which we had so many great center plays. And I think
Mhm.
it was like we were fading Bam or someone who went off, or maybe it was Rudy Gobert. He put up like 47, but the other players that were like lower price plays still put up like 40 and whatnot. So it's just, I think we were right in that sense. And that kind of feels like the same thing with Tim Hardaway. It's like we can find similar plays at much lower ownership that have maybe not as much likely to have an upside, but slightly less.
And then, like on that point of upside, what is the upside we're looking for from Tim Hardaway?
Hmm.
Maybe a 6x. Like he had 40 fantasy points 2 games ago. That's the best game he's had in a while. I know Kyrie and Luca have usually been in, or one of them anyway. But I don't know. I think there's better spots to get to. But we do want to play Tim Hardaway today.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the multiple position eligibility helps too.
Yeah.
And then we got the two bigs from the Lakers, Vanderbilt, Hachimura. Pretty nice that we can play him power forward and center on DraftKings, obviously power forward on FanDuel. Is there a situation in which you would just play both of them on FanDuel or no? Is it just one or the other?
Just looking at my lineups right now, I don't have a single lineup that has both of them together on FanDuel.
Okay.
I'm actually not getting that much of them to begin with though, so that's probably why. It's just tough to take up both the power forward slots with two guys from one team. I know they're both cheap, but it's just they're both never going to play 30 minutes.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think we just want to catch the one who has a big game. Both their ownerships seem a little high. Jared Vanderbilt's starting. I'd probably rather get to him still over Rui, but Rui's been playing so well. It's just the
Yeah.
minutes have not been there for him, so it's kind of tough.
So my thing is, it's a matchup with Houston, kind of a team that we want to be attacking, regardless of if Sengun's in. So, do we have to play one of them in that situation then?
I don't think we have to. No,
Okay.
like that's like what I was talking about earlier. I don't want to force a Laker in. I feel like a Laker should be in my lineups, but D'Angelo is really the only one that I feel comfortable with.
Hmm.
Like because with Vanderbilt and Hachimura, I'm just if I don't play them, I'm gonna feel good about it if they come in high owned, and if I do play them, I'm just hoping they do something the whole game.
Yeah.
Like Josh Green, the positions are slightly different, but like I think Josh Green is just a better play, and this ownership will update once Kyrie's officially ruled out. But
Yeah. Uh,
yeah,
What about Troy Brown? I know we haven't really talked about him. He was so bad in the last game. Let me pull up his shots. It was like, or maybe it was 2 games ago, where he was like, yeah, 0 for 7 from 3. He did take 7 though, and he has taken a lot of shots. Is there any upside with him at all?
I think so. Yeah, I think at 3% we can take a shot or two. He's probably going to play close to 30 minutes against Houston. If everyone see what these ownerships look like for the rest of the Lakers later, but if Troy Brown stays sub 5% and the other guys even start to creep up a little bit, then Troy Brown's not a bad contrarian option, assuming he starts.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I brought it up, is because he is going to get minutes. We can kind of predict that.
Yeah, the 29 we haven't projected for seems totally. I'd probably predict him for 28, but it's 1 minute.
And then just looking at the forwards, we are getting some good spots. It seems like Jason Tatum, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. We got Ant-Man as well. I have a tough time saying I need to play this one. I do really like Tatum tonight. But is there anyone that you are feeling the need to really go out of your way to roster? Maybe a starting point with your rosters?
From this forward group, I don't think so. I was going to say Zach LaVine was the one standing out to me earlier since he's playing against Sacramento. He's been playing very well. But the model loves all these other guys more than him. I'm still going to get to some Zach LaVine, but it's a little disappointing. And then Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I like getting to them both. I think their ownerships are a little bit too low today for what they are. I know it's Minnesota, but it's like a 5-point spread, I think. So there's no blowout. I mean, there's always blowout risk, but Vegas isn't projecting one. So
yeah, and with that, we got Kyle Anderson as well. That's getting pretty pricey. We're getting him at 5% on DraftKings. Is there any scenario in which we are playing Kyle Anderson maybe to gain some leverage on the field?
I really like Kyle Anderson today.
Do you? Okay.
I think after the Spurs guys got ruled out, he's just one of the guys I feel comfortable playing. I know his price came up to 7K, and it's 7K for Kyle Anderson. If this was a year ago, this would be an insane price, but he's been returning value so consistently, and the minutes are there. So it's a tough matchup, but I think at 5%, I'm going to play some Kyle Anderson tonight.
I mean, it is literally we have GPP winning upside at 5% for a guy that's went for over 40 points 3 out of the last 4 games. Yeah, that's tough to pass up on. And the only game he didn't was a blowout. Yeah. Is that so? I feel like if we are playing Kyle Anderson, though, we'd almost have. I know you don't like doing this, but it feels like we'd have to play Tatum or Brown then.
Sounds good to me. I mean, I'm just looking over my lineups really quickly, and I actually don't have that many combos. But it's more Jaylen Brown than Tatum, I guess. Just the price is easier to get to. I'm fine with either.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll go Jaylen Brown. I mean, yeah, I don't mind that. So I'll plug him in there. Got a sneaky good GPP build, I think, going. But we'll touch on that at the end here. Any other plays in the forwards that we need to touch on?
Donovan Mitchell's playing, so Evan Mobley, he's still okay at 8K. I think it's an appropriate price for him. Yeah, Klay Thompson, shooting guard eligible only on FanDuel, but he has small forward on DraftKings, under 5% ownership. I still want to take some shots on Klay tonight.
So you kind of mentioned Curry, maybe having a down game last game. It was literally because Klay was just going off and Curry was defaulting to him, which can happen in any game.
Yeah, Klay had 33 in the first half and then 0 points in the third quarter.
Classic, right?
Classic Klay, but I think they're both really good plays tonight.
Yeah. Is that another situation, though, in which it's maybe one or the other?
I'm probably not playing both in the same lineup, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, one or the other for them.
All right, so we got a couple of questions in there. We'll get into those. Do you want to answer those while I'm switching over to the centers?
Yeah, Jose asked, is Mamu Kilishvili a good play today? I don't think he's a bad play. So I was looking at something earlier with Mamu Kilishvili. He has only had a couple good NBA games in his career. Last season he had 2, and one of this situation, they were both him starting. So if he's starting tonight, I'm a little more confident in his minutes. If he's coming off the bench, we're still going to play him, but watch the ownership. It's just, I think the ownership determines if he's a good player or not. If it's crazy high, then we can start to get away. But if it's still in the 50% range, he's a min-price center who's probably going to start. If Dieng ends up starting, then we can make some decisions there, but we'll have to see closer to lock.
I think with the pricing of both of them, it almost seems like I would set a rule for one or the other in every build because.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was his ownership? Jiang.
Jiang was It's like 10% earlier.
Okay.
Let's see if I can
Whew.
find it real quick.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot. I'll try to sort by value, see if he's
You're good.
popping up.
It's showing 0 right now, so
Hmm.
that's going to change.
Yeah.
But if it's, let's say the difference is like 60% Momokilishvili and 10% Jang, that's probably a little bit too wide of a gap, even if Sandro is starting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think we just need to look there.
So
And
like
then,
I think a good example of that is like I really like Jalen Duren as a play coming in as a backup. He got into foul trouble, which could happen for Sandro as well. I mean, Duren still ended
yeah,
up getting like 20 points, but the
yeah,
point still stands.
yeah. I mean, 60% Sandro, it's kind of crazy because it's Sandro Momokilishvili, but yeah, I mean, if he's starting, they don't have bodies, so kind of
No.
just have to roll with it.
And then so we had Smart or White. Sorry.
Smarter White. I don't like Marcus Smart when Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum are in. I think Derek White has more opportunity. Off the bench is just his usage is higher, and so not a fan of Marcus Smart tonight. I know I mentioned one of these three will probably be good, but I would still probably rather get to Brogdon or White over Smart.
Yeah, and price points, it's still a little bit easier as well.
Yeah. Point guard on FanDuel's tough. Yeah, point guard on FanDuel's tough. I'm pretty much just paying up, and then if Trey Jones is out, probably getting to Devontae Graham mostly. And then do we do cash or head-to-head builds at all, or strictly GPP? I play strictly GPPs. I've tried to play cash, and I just can't do it because I want to play a low-owned guy in there. I always think the chalk is bad, so I just am not the person to play cash or ask advice for cash.
Yeah, and so for me, I am much more of a cash player, but just not for NBA. I hate having a slate in which it's typically, I shouldn't say typically, I have noticed a lot of the times, and I don't know the percent, you can have your cash lineup miss, but you can enter that same cash lineup into a GPP and have it hit because, well, people are making, let's just say, bad lineup decisions in GPPs because they're trying to take down a GPP. So I personally don't like playing cash on NBA. I would almost rather make a cash build and put that build into a GPP because one, the profit percent difference is seemingly the same, and then you also have the upside to win more money than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And it's frustrating, honestly, when it's like the most tilting thing ever.
If I make one cash build in a night, it's always at least going in some kind of GPP. Just if
Yeah,
I hit the nuts and I don't, and if I double my money with the nuts, it just feels so bad.
yeah, and I think it's because the chalk typically does hit, and so in cash, like if you miss out on a play, you're not going to hit. Where in a GPP, people are just being more unique.
One thing too is I haven't been paying attention to it at all this season, but before the cash line in like head-to-heads and double ups was not that different from the cash line in tournaments. So
Mm-hmm.
my thinking before was if I'm gonna play a lineup, just play it in a GPP because it's gonna if it's gonna cash, it's gonna cash either way. Like the min cash will be a little bit less, but
Mm-hmm.
just the opportunity to win multiples of your buy-in, I think
Yeah.
is worth it to just play GPPs. Or let's say you're a low stakes guy on a DraftKings, if you just want to make one cash lineup, or quote unquote cash lineup, just enter it 20 times in the quarter, 20 times in the 10 cent. And it's like it's less volume, but it's $5, $2 total. I mean,
Yeah, and
it's something.
you can make unique pivots off of that too if news comes out throughout the night and whatnot too.
Yeah, it just sucks to be locked into your first few guys, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So do we have any other questions or pivot into centers?
Michael Dixon is fading that Lakers Houston game. I don't think it's crazy. Just have a purpose and doing it. Don't say you're gonna fade it just to fade it. If like you're me, like you, it's tough. The Lakers plays are all tough. I don't love any Lakers. I like D'Angelo. I like a couple of Houston guys, but it's like don't purposely fade it just to fade it. You know?
I mean, the only reason to fade it would be to like really go in on the Dallas Spurs game. I think like
Yeah.
but that's really it. Struggling with Bam versus Vooch. We didn't. I mean, we can touch on this right now while we're in the centers. So I have kind of definitively now went and said I am just not playing Bam when Kevin Love is active. What about you? What are your thoughts on that?
I pretty much agree. It's just Kevin Love killed Bam's production, and Kevin Love's really not playing that much, 20 minutes a game. But excuse me, Bam just doesn't get rebounds, and Jimmy kind of turned it on a little bit too, which I think is messing with Bam's fantasy production.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy's usage is it's been up over the last 2 weeks, and I haven't seen a number, but I'm assuming Bam's is down just looking at his stat lines. I don't love Vooch either, but if Bam is going to pull 25% ownership on FanDuel and Vooch is going to pull 4, that's for sure incorrect.
Yeah. Yeah. Are they the same price on FanDuel? I didn't see that.
Well, Bam is 79 and Vooch is 8,800. So there's
Okay.
Vooch is 900 more, but Bam at 25% versus Vooch at 4% ownership.
Yeah.
Especially Vooch is playing Sacramento. Like Demantis is not a defensive player. I mean, Demantis is going to get the boards and all that, but I think Vooch is a pretty good tournament play.
Yeah, I would say so too. I would almost rather just pay down maybe for Mobley or even, I guess, pay up a little bit in FanDuel for Gobert.
Or pay up for Embiid. Just make it easy. Lock in 60 fantasy points.
There is a lot of value. Are you worried at all with Mobley defense or anything like that, or no?
No, I just no.
Okay.
It's Joel Embiid. I kind of felt this way on the last slate about Joel Embiid. Center was so difficult. Like, just make it easy and play Joel Embiid. Someone cheap is going to go off, sure, but so looking at the past few games against Cleveland, I mean, he's had a good game in half of them, so I don't have any worries about just Mobley.
Yeah, with both of them in there, maybe, but just Mobley. Yeah, I don't mind that idea. 11.4 for Embiid. There's so much value. We can kind of slightly get unique by playing 2 cent. I don't mind that. We're going to try to make that work and maybe make some adjustments with that. We'll see.
Yeah, because something I was looking at was 2 center builds on DraftKings earlier, and it was Sandro, and there was one other guy that was showing up a bunch.
Probably one of the Lakers, or no?
Oh, it was Jeng. I'm not playing Sandro and Jeng together, though. So 1 cheap center and 1 pay up center sounds like a pretty good build on DraftKings.
I don't mind, like, I wouldn't go out of my way to do it, but if I end up on it, I think I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And then we got a lot of chats coming in. Pretty awesome, guys. Keep it up. Let's see. Any others that we missed? Who would be good tournament plays today? We kind of touched on a lot of those already.
Yeah, I tried to have a couple low-owned guys like in the chamber ready to go. I think I mentioned I had like 2 guys. I should have just wrote it down. I'll get there by the end of the show.
We'll recap that part. Let's see. Playing a lot of Brogdon tonight. That's fine. That works too. So yeah, single entry GPPs that's what I do. That's what I'll do pretty much for every sport now, is especially NBA, because once again, I hate having a cash lineup or head-to-head lineup, not cash, and it does in GPPs.
Yeah, and with the single entries too, I know you said you're playing in the $5 or $10 single entry, but if you have access to the $1 and $2 single entries on DraftKings, you should just be throwing that lineup in there no matter what, because the best players cannot play in those tournaments. They can play in the $5. I'm not sure. The $10 they can definitely play in though. And so I would say just throw it in the $1 and $2 because you're just gonna win more.
I like that. That's a very good point. Jose, honest opinion, Kawhi or Jaylen Brown? Why would we not give our honest opinion? That's why I chuckled.
Kawhi or Jaylen Brown?
Are you just pulling it up on the model there?
Yeah, I was just gonna see what the model says. Model says Kawhi, but given the ownership difference, flip a coin, I guess. I don't have that strong of a take on that deal.
I mean, no, Kawhi's been playing a lot more minutes. The last time against Golden State, it was a blowout. He had 32. If he gets his typical 37 to 38 while scoring 38 DK points, he could get to 50. But Jaylen Brown has just as much likelihood, so yeah, who's ever lower owned, I would say.
Yeah, I like them both.
Yeah. And then, okay. So let's look at the centers now, just in general. I know we kind of touched on in passing. Embiid is really popping up. We got Sabonis really popping up. Vooch, Jaren Jackson, who I just haven't been able to get to Jaren Jackson at all. Rudy Gobert, he's been pretty inconsistent, but against Boston, I don't know what are we doing with the center position? Because they all seem, at least on DraftKings, seem properly priced. Maybe a little bit too low as well.
So I'm fine getting to Joel Embiid if you can find the value. Demantis, I think, is too cheap. I'm a little surprised they're not raising his price. I know he's hovering right in that 50 fantasy point range. He put up like 70 last time, and he's still coming in with 12 and 13% ownership. Don't mind paying up for Demantis. Bam, we already talked about. It's tough to get there right now. Jaren Jackson is a guy that I have not been wanting to get to because everyone's playing him, but today his ownership is 5 and 6%, so I'm okay playing him as a tournament shot against Miami.
Yeah, don't mind that.
And I like Xavier Tillman at 4% on DraftKings. I mean, he's giving better than a 5x every game, and with the potential to put up much more. I don't mind getting to Xavier Tillman. Power forward eligibility on FanDuel is nice too.
So what? Any no love for Rudy Gobert at all? I know he's questionable, but
It's a minutes thing with Rudy Gobert. Let me just pull this up. Like he played, I think, 37 minutes in the previous game. Oh no, 2 games ago he played 42. In the last game he played 29. Before that, 24, 31, 27. So if he's gonna live in this like under 30 range, I don't really want to pay 8,100 for him. It's fine as a tournament play. Like you can still play him, but um, I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant to get there.
yeah, that makes sense. And we already are getting like either it does feel like we're either paying down value with Sandro or Jiang or just going and beat. Makes
Yeah,
sense. Make
yeah.
it simple, right?
I think that's the play. Yeah. Like a lot of low owned guys, but I just how many of them are actually viable?
Yeah. And that kind of sums up, I think, let's just sort by FanDuel value real quick, just make sure not missing any. Vanderbilt's popping up as the best value on FanDuel. Fine getting there. Mobley. What about Zubac or Plumlee? Any love for either of those two?
I'd be more interested in Zubac. I don't think I want to play Plumlee. Plumlee, we're just hoping Zubac gets into massive foul trouble or something, and Ty Lue doesn't want to go small. I'm okay getting to Zubac. His price is, it was 6K, I think, on both sites around there.
Yeah.
5,300 on DraftKings actually not that bad. The 62 on FanDuel. Deep tournament shot.
Yeah. We did get a question about Core 4 for FanDuel. I don't know. I always feel like right now, at least with NBA, it's tough to give out like this is our core just because one, the injury news comes out, and two, we are going in on a little bit more ownership. Like just at this time of year where we're getting not as typically good of plays at higher ownerships. What are your kind of thoughts on really one, a core, and then do you have a core at all tonight?
So I don't like that word core because I think when I was giving out cores before, it might lead people to make mistakes because, like you said, a lot of the slate changes with late news, right? And so I'd rather phrase it as like, these are the guys I like more than the field. These are the guys I like less than the field. And then like we do need like, a core who's our main guys we're playing. But on FanDuel today, right now, I'm at Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, Sandro's still in there until we find another value option. And then KJ Martin Jr. actually is up there.
Yeah. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I'm just sorting by the ownership as well. It's like it's chalky with Hardy and Sandro, but that's chalk we can eat, and then it's not too bad after that in terms of chalk. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. It seems okay today for all the value. Like everyone's going to be so concentrated in the value. Sandro, Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, which I think those are all good chalk today. Maybe Jaden Hardy's the one I try to get away from, but
yeah. Honestly, that's kind of what I like about late season NBA DFS is that people's core that they go in on are really not as good as throughout the season. Like the chalk is not as really awesome as it is throughout the season. So you can gain edge, especially for me who's playing more single entries. Oh, it's a sweet spot.
That's the easiest way to get leverage in a single entry. Just if 60% of the field is playing Sandro today and you just don't play Sandro, then you have leverage on 60% of the field. I think you probably should though in a single entry.
Yeah, no, it really just depends on your strategy each night. So like looking at the build that we got going, let's see here. I got Hardy, Russell, Sandro. I don't know if we could afford it. This is tough. Okay, so I got Brown and Kyle Anderson in there currently chasing that upside, kind of a little bit of a game stack. We probably couldn't fit Embiid in there. We probably can't lock in that 50 to 60 points. Maybe we'd have to pivot off of him. But like, as you can see, kind of the core that I'm going in, Sandro, Hardy, like we mentioned, Russell, I feel like he's really strong. And then Kevin Porter Jr. is kind of my core, just price point wise, going out of my way to play currently. If the ownership really shifts to those guys, then we can make pivots to other plays.
I agree.
Well, let's see. You're 5.2. I'm trying to close this out real quick. I'm trying to see. KJ Martin, is he around that price tag? He is 5.2. I don't mind that. And then let's see, another 5.2. Maybe one of the Lakers bigs. Or is that's a little bit too? That's a little bit too much left over then.
I was gonna say Malik Beasley. Near the top of the value. I don't mind just sliding him in there as a last guy in. I don't think he's a great play tonight though.
Yeah,
Just want
no.
to say that for everyone watching.
He went 8 for 16.
Mostly in
Which,
the first half, I think, too. I
yeah,
think 5 of those were in the first.
7 for 12 from 3 as well.
Yeah.
Just not going to happen again.
It's a lot to ask for.
But I'm fine with this being a base build. Obviously, we can make adjustments before lineup lock. We're doing this video early enough to where we can make some adjustments. So it's a good time for the plug. Make sure to be in the Discord chat before lock. And then let's see. I had the Chucks section pulled up. So who are your favorite GPP Chucks tonight?
My favorite Chuck tonight is the best Chucker in the history of the NBA. His name is Stephen Curry. I mean, 4th on the model, coming in for sub 10% ownership. They have to win. I'm going to keep riding Steph until everyone starts playing him. I just think the ownership is incorrect.
Yeah, no,
And
I agree.
let's throw Clay in there too. The 2 best Chuckers in the history of the NBA. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I probably wouldn't play them together, but I do like getting one of them into my lineups. And I want to throw Jaylen Brown as the 3rd guy in there at low ownership on both sites.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that both Clay and Curry are both low, and that's probably why. Just simply the fact that trying to figure out which one of them to play. Dang, so fade Beasley. I mean, probably, right? Like, how chalky is he?
Let me do a refresh, and so we have, because Lamar Stevens is actually showing up at the top of value. I'm not sure if that was there a minute ago.
Yeah.
So we might have another value option on DraftKings, but let's see what the Cavs do with their lineup. So LAL.
I see 26 on FanDuel, but I haven't refreshed this in like an hour or so.
Okay. Malik Beasley, yeah, it's right around there. Like, it's not absurd ownership or anything. Like I said earlier, if he had a bad game yesterday, he'd be 10% owned today. So he had a hot shooting night last night, so he's going to be in 30% of the field's lineups today, but I think it's for the wrong reasons. He could still have a good game today, but I'd much rather play Austin Reeves than Malik Beasley. I just think Austin gets there easier. Beasley has a higher ceiling, yes, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling it tonight.
Let's see. I'm looking at his price. I'm going to search by price point here for Beasley. And then just look at some other players around him. So, yeah, he's about 29% owned on FanDuel projection-wise, okay? And then let's see. You got KBD there for San Antonio. We got Hachimura that we could play. Those are all kind of plays that we could potentially be on a little bit more. Those are pivots we can make at maybe low ownership. So I guess Hachimura is higher owned, but KBD is fine.
Yeah, I like Keita Bates' drop. I feel like he goes overlooked like every single day.
Yeah. And then I know Troy Brown's ugly, but he literally went 0 for 7 2 nights ago and then just didn't do anything last night. Who's to say? I mean, Beasley's the better play on average in that scenario, but who's to say that doesn't like randomly flip where Troy Brown has a better night shooting?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially with the ownership difference. I mean, it's not that much. Beasley's not that high owned. I don't want to make it seem like Beasley's so super high owned. Like, his ownership is actually probably appropriate. It's just, I think the field is playing him for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I like that Troy Brown call a lot, though.
Majority of the time it's not going to work out. If we can get lucky, the 1 out of 6 times it does, this seems like a good opportunity for that to hit.
Yeah, against Houston without AD, as good of opportunity for him as it gets.
And then we got a question. Al Horford for Boston. To me, just instantly, it seems tough to just play Al Horford really at all right now. What are your thoughts on him?
So you would think with Robert Williams out that he's a playable guy. He's playing 30 minutes most nights. I think he's a GPP play. When he's high owned, I don't really want to play him. When he's low owned, like today, I'm perfectly fine taking some shots there. Not a priority.
I wish his price was still, let's just say, around 5K.
Yeah, I mean, 5K is much easier play. Just the 5,500. I mean, KJ Martin's 300 cheaper, right? We were talking about him earlier. Tobias is cheaper. Keita Bates' drop is cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems like there's better pivots there. So just a reminder, guys, too, for anyone watching, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. I see 90 people watching, 18 likes. Let's get that number up as well if you can. I actually hate asking people to do that, but we do appreciate that. Any closing thoughts here, Chuck?
I mean, I would say just watch the ownership, join the Discord so you can ask, see what we're talking about pre-lock. We get some good discussion going in there. We have some sharp players in here.
And it's not too crowded too with noise. That's the problem with some other Discords. It's like just too much noise going on.
Like it feels like a tight community. I mean, I recognize every name that posts in there. I think most of the people in there do. Everyone's friendly. Everyone's helpful. So it's a pretty good place to be.
I don't really chat in it. I will be the guy that's peeking in there and reading the chats for NBA.
Yeah.
Typically, I'm just not around to like type at that time before lineup lock. It's you're switching lineups and whatnot. But Chuck's in there. Everyone else is in there, frequently discussing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
Embiid locked tonight. Don't mind that. Okay, Mobley's out tonight. So is that true? Let's just touch on that real quick before we get out of here.
That's disgusting. So maybe, is that why Lamar Stevens was showing at the top of the model? Because Mobley got ruled out a few minutes ago?
Probably.
So I'm not seeing the Mobley is out news. I usually only trust Underdog Fantasy to be the only source. And until they post it, I just usually don't believe anything.
Lamar Stevens currently projected to start with Isaiah Oroku.
I think Lamar Stevens would be fine, 3,400 on DraftKings, regardless if Mobley's out or not.
That would be weird. There's no one we would play really in replace of that, right? We'd probably just load up on Embiid like they were kind of saying, like the chat was saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really tough for anyone to guard Embiid if Mobley's out. Who do they have? Robin Lopez?
Yeah, it'd be Robin Lopez, which I guess wouldn't be terrible. I mean, he's a point per minute player, but he could get into foul trouble.
I would just try to get Embiid ejected, I think, if I'm Robin Lopez. Just get in a fight with him or something.
And when he's with the Bucks, that's he did those play fights all the time. He just needs to get into a real one.
Yeah, I mean, that's his value to the Cavaliers, is just being a body in practice and getting the other team's center ejected.
I mean, if he's going to get minutes, he's not a terrible pivot off of maybe a too chalky Sandro, but that is, once again, we got to wait for that news to be confirmed. So that's another good plug for the Discord.
Just because we're looking at the Cavs, I want to mention Chetty. Had a phenomenal game yesterday, played 30 minutes. If his ownership is under 10%, I like taking some shots on Chetty again today.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, especially if Mobley was ruled out.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So last one here, Gabriel or Sandro?
So for these type of questions, like Sandro is very clearly the chalk and Gabriel's the contrarian. I think, so these two specific players, I'm kind of indifferent. Like Sandro's going to have all the ownership and Wenyon's not going to have that much ownership, but like Sandro's a better play than Wenyon, I think. I don't know. The difference in ownership, to me, they're about the same.
I mean, with Gabriel, it's just a bet on the minutes increasing drastically from what it had been previously. With Sandro, he's probably going to get those minutes.
Yeah, like the model has him, Sandro projected for 25, Wenyon Gabriel projected for 20.4. It's kind of just guessing. Like Wenyon could play 25, Sandro could play 20, and so yeah, I think they're just so similar today.
And one's significantly cheaper as well.
Yeah, you're kind of paying 600 more for the power forward eligibility for Wenyon Gabriel.
Which in this lineup scenario that I've going, I have 1.5 left over, and so could really make a lot of pivots, really depending on ownership. I'm leaving it pretty open to make any pivot that I want. Like, let's say for this instance, if we want to play both of them because they are both pretty decent values, could go Gabriel at the forward, and then we have 6.7 left over. That's a ton of salary left over. And then we're fine. We need Sandro and Gabriel to go for 20 plus, 40 combined. So
right here, same situation as my dummy earlier, Keldon Johnson, 6,700 left, right there.
So my Chuck's, Eric's elaborate, I don't know, elaborate picks. That's the Yahoo bracket. You ever make those? They come out with those stupid names.
I think I have actually. I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, whatever. He was going to be my Chuck's version. I think Keldon Johnson at that price tag, if we know he's going to get 32 minutes, which it seems like we do. I don't know, back into back-to-back, I don't feel like we can trust them, but the usage should be there against a Dallas team without Luka and also Kyrie. That's appealing. He just went for 42 against them, so I like this build a decent amount. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I like that too. Playing against Dallas, the guy, someone was asking about core. I mean, if you want core, it's pretty much a couple of the Dallas guys. Yeah, a couple of the Spurs guys, and mix in your tournament play.
Russell and Porter.
Yeah, Russell and Porter.
Yeah, I like those two, just price point wise, upside wise.
No,
And
sounds
then,
good.
yeah, we're good. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Good luck tonight. Be in the Discord chat before lock. If you guys want access to this tool before lineup lock, like we mentioned, it does update consistently and constantly throughout the day. Also have access to the lineup builder here as well. Link to that's in the description below. Chuck, any last second thoughts?
No, just join the Discord, be in the Discord before lock. Good luck tonight.